Are you tired of feeling like a hamster on a wheel, working harder and harder, but never quite reaching that destination of true satisfaction and accomplishment? What if I told you that the very things that drive us, the rewards, the punishments, might actually be holding us back? Today, on Visual Books, we're peeling back the curtain on human motivation, exploring the powerful, and often surprising, science behind what makes us tick. Welcome to Visual Books. Today, we are exploring Drive by Daniel Pink. This is a book that promises to redefine our understanding of motivation, moving beyond the outdated notion of carrots and sticks to uncover a more profound and sustainable path to engagement and excellence. Let's dive right in, chapter by chapter, to unlock the secrets within. Chapter 1, The Motivation Conundrum, the mystery of motivation. We begin by confronting the central mystery: why do some people and organizations thrive, while others stagnate? Pink challenges the traditional stick and carrot model, what he calls Motivation 2.0. This is the idea that we are primarily driven by external rewards and the avoidance of punishment. Think of bonuses, pay raises, or the threat of losing your job. He argues this model has served us for centuries, powering the industrial age, but it's increasingly inadequate for the complexities of our modern, knowledge-based economy. He introduces the idea that human beings are more nuanced than simple stimulus response machines, and that there's a deeper, more intrinsic drive at play. The key takeaway here is to question the automatic application of rewards and punishments, and to recognize that they might not always be the optimal approach. The actionable advice from this initial exploration is to start observing your own motivations and the motivations of those around you, and to consider whether external motivators are truly serving the desired outcome. Chapter 2, Motivation 2.0, The Science of Rewards and Punishments. This chapter delves deeper into the mechanics of Motivation 2.0. Pink meticulously dissects the historical context and scientific underpinnings of this reward and punishment system. He explains how it emerged from scientific management principles, focusing on efficiency and predictability. He uses examples like the assembly line worker, whose tasks were broken down into simple, repetitive motions, and whose motivation was primarily driven by piece rate pay. While acknowledging its effectiveness in certain contexts, particularly for tasks that are routine and don't require much cognitive effort, Pink highlights its significant drawbacks. He argues that for complex, creative, or cognitively demanding tasks, these external motivators can actually stifle creativity, diminish performance, and even lead to unethical behavior. The key concept here is that for certain types of work, the traditional reward system can backfire. The actionable advice is to recognize when Motivation 2.0 is not the right tool for the job. If you're dealing with tasks that require innovation, problem solving, or deep engagement, relying solely on external rewards might be counterproductive. Chapter 3, Motivation 3.0, The Third Drive. And so, we arrive at the heart of Pink's argument, Motivation 3.0. This is the human urge to be driven from within. It's about intrinsic motivation, doing something because it is inherently interesting, enjoyable, and satisfying. This is the realm of passion, purpose, and mastery. Pink argues that this is the driving force behind true innovation, creativity, and long-term engagement. He suggests that while Motivation 2.0 is about controlling behavior, Motivation 3.0 is about unleashing potential. He introduces the three pillars of this third drive, which we'll explore in detail as we move forward. The core concept is the existence of an internal, powerful engine of motivation that transcends external pressures. The actionable advice here is to start looking for and nurturing these internal drivers, both in yourself and in others. It's about shifting the focus from what you get to what you feel and what you learn. Chapter 4, Autonomy, the urge to direct our own lives. The first pillar of Motivation 3.0 is autonomy. This is our innate desire to have control over our own lives, to make our own choices and to be the architects of our own destiny. Pink emphasizes that autonomy isn't about being undisciplined or working whenever you feel like it, it's about having the freedom to make decisions about what you work on, how you work on it, when you work on it, and with whom you work on it. He provides fascinating examples like Google's famous 20% time policy, where engineers were encouraged to spend a fifth of their work week on projects of their own choosing, leading to innovations like Gmail and AdSense. Another example is the Agile software development methodology, which empowers teams to self-organize and make decisions about their workflow. The core concept is that giving people a sense of control over their work significantly boosts engagement and productivity. The actionable advice is to actively seek out opportunities for greater autonomy in your own work. If you're a manager, consider how you can delegate more decision-making power to your team members. Chapter 5 is Mastery, the desire to get better and better. The second pillar of intrinsic motivation is mastery. This is our deep-seated longing to improve, to become skilled at something that matters to us. It's the drive to learn, to grow, and to push our boundaries. Pink explains that mastery isn't about achieving a fixed state of perfection, but rather about the continuous process of learning and getting better. He uses the analogy of a musician practicing their instrument or a craftsman honing their skills. He highlights the importance of deliberate practice, focused effort on specific areas of weakness, with immediate feedback. Think of the intense training regimen of elite athletes or the iterative design process of brilliant inventors. The key concept is that the pursuit of mastery itself is a powerful motivator, leading to greater satisfaction and higher levels of performance. The actionable advice is to identify areas where you can focus on deliberate practice. Seek out challenges that stretch your abilities and be open to feedback that helps you improve. Chapter 6, Purpose, the yearning to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves. And finally, the third pillar of Motivation 3.0, Purpose. This is our inherent desire to contribute to something larger than ourselves, to feel that our work has meaning and impact. Pink argues that when people understand the why behind their work, how it contributes to the greater good, or serves a cause they believe in, their motivation soars. He contrasts companies that focus solely on profit maximization with those that have a strong sense of social mission. He uses examples like Tom's Shoes, with its one-for-one model, or the research and development efforts at organizations dedicated to curing diseases. The core concept is that a compelling sense of purpose provides a profound and enduring source of motivation. The actionable advice is to actively seek out the purpose in your work. Understand the impact your contributions have and connect your daily tasks to a larger, more meaningful goal. If your current work lacks purpose, explore ways to find it or to seek out opportunities that align with your values. Chapter 7, The Dark Side of the Carrot, When External Rewards Backfire. Now, Pink doesn't shy away from the complexities. This chapter explores the negative consequences of relying too heavily on external rewards, even when they seem like the obvious solution. He details how contingent rewards that are tied to specific outcomes, can actually narrow our focus, extinguish creativity, and even lead to cheating or risk-taking to attain the reward. Think of a student who only studies for the grade, or a salesperson who cuts corners to meet a quota. He explains that for tasks requiring creativity and complex problem-solving, these extrinsic motivators can create a performance plateau, preventing genuine innovation. The key concept is that rewards, while seemingly beneficial, can sometimes be detrimental to intrinsic motivation and deep engagement. The actionable advice is to be highly discerning about when and how you use rewards. For complex tasks, focus on fostering autonomy, mastery, and purpose, rather than just offering a bonus. Chapter 8, The Sentence That Splits the World in Two, The Impact of Rewards on Performance. This chapter delves into the scientific evidence behind the detrimental effects of rewards. Pink presents research demonstrating how extrinsic rewards can hinder performance on creative and complex tasks, while still being effective for routine, algorithmic ones. He uses the famous ultimatum game experiment to illustrate how fairness and intrinsic motivation can override purely rational, reward-seeking behavior. He emphasizes that for tasks that require cognitive flexibility and novel solutions, the pressure to earn a reward can actually lead to rigid thinking and a lack of innovative approaches. The core concept is that the nature of the task dictates the effectiveness of different motivational strategies. The actionable advice is to analyze the types of tasks you or your team are undertaking. If they require creativity, avoid attaching explicit external rewards that might stifle that creativity. Chapter 9, The Science of If-Then Motivation, Understanding the Limitations. Here, Pink meticulously examines the if-then rewards, the conditional rewards that are so prevalent in our society. He argues that while they might lead to short-term compliance, they often fail to foster genuine engagement or deep learning. He explains that these rewards can create a transactional relationship, where individuals do just enough to get the reward and no more. He also touches on how they can diminish intrinsic interest in the task itself. Think about how a child might lose interest in a toy once it's offered as a reward for good behavior. The key concept is that if-then rewards can undermine the very qualities we want to cultivate: creativity, curiosity, and a love of learning. The actionable advice is to move away from conditional rewards and towards a focus on creating environments that naturally foster autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Chapter 10, The Wisdom of If-Then Motivation, When It Can Be Useful. However, Pink isn't dogmatic. This chapter acknowledges that if-then rewards can have a place, albeit a limited one. He suggests they can be effective for tasks that are highly routine, unengaging, and require strict adherence to specific instructions. Think of tasks that are purely algorithmic, like following a recipe precisely or completing a repetitive data entry job. In these cases, a clear reward for completion can be a straightforward motivator. The core concept is that for certain types of work, extrinsic rewards can be a necessary and effective tool. The actionable advice is to use if-then rewards strategically and sparingly, primarily for tasks that are inherently uninteresting and require a predictable outcome. Chapter 11, The Best Motivation Strategy in the World, Purpose, Autonomy, and Mastery in Action. This chapter brings it all together, showcasing how to effectively implement Motivation 3.0. Pink provides real-world examples of companies and individuals who have successfully harnessed the power of autonomy, mastery, and purpose. He emphasizes the importance of creating an environment where people feel trusted, respected, and empowered. He discusses strategies like flexible work arrangements, opportunities for skill development, and clearly communicating the impact of one's work. The key concept is that by focusing on these three intrinsic drivers, organizations and individuals can achieve higher levels of engagement, creativity, and overall success. The actionable advice is to actively cultivate these elements in your own life and work. Advocate for greater autonomy, seek opportunities for mastery, and connect your work to a meaningful purpose. Chapter 12, The New Operating System, The Role of Purpose in Business and Life. This chapter expands on the concept of purpose, particularly within the business context. Pink argues that companies that define themselves by their purpose, rather than just their products or services, are more resilient, innovative, and attractive to top talent. He suggests that a strong sense of purpose can inspire employees, attract customers who align with the company's values, and ultimately lead to greater long-term success. He uses examples of companies that have successfully integrated social responsibility into their core business model. The core concept is that purpose is not just a nice-to-have, it's a fundamental driver of organizational success in the 21st century. The actionable advice for businesses is to clearly articulate and embed a compelling purpose into their culture and operations. For individuals, it's about finding work that aligns with your personal sense of purpose. Chapter 13, The New Operating System for Life, Applying the Principles to Our Personal Lives. And finally, Pink turns the lens inward, applying the principles of Motivation 3.0 to our personal lives. He argues that understanding autonomy, mastery, and purpose can lead to greater fulfillment, happiness, and a more meaningful existence. He encourages us to take ownership of our personal development, to pursue activities that challenge and engage us, and to identify what truly matters to us. He suggests that by consciously cultivating these intrinsic motivators, we can move beyond simply going through the motions and instead create a life filled with passion and impact. The key concept is that these principles of intrinsic motivation are not just for the workplace, they are foundational for a well-lived life. The actionable advice is to reflect on your own life. Where can you exercise more autonomy? What skills do you want to master? And what purpose drives you? And there you have it, a deep dive into Daniel Pink's drive. We've moved from the limitations of traditional reward and punishment systems to the profound power of autonomy, mastery, and purpose. This is a book that challenges us to rethink how we motivate ourselves and others, offering a pathway to greater engagement, creativity, and ultimately, a more fulfilling existence. Thank you for watching. If you found this summary helpful, please like this video, subscribe to Visual Books for more summaries, and share it with someone who would benefit.